welcome to the meeting of the Backbench Business Committee, where we're going to be considering live applications for requests for debates. The first applicant this afternoon is Sam Rushworth with an application for International Men's Day. Over to you to present your application, and we'll ask some questions in a minute or so.
Thank you. Well, I co-chair the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Men and Boys alongside Mims Davis, who isn't able to be part of this application due to her front bench role. And as you know, International Men's Day is a growing international event, and there has been a debate in the Chamber for the last several years now. And it's an important opportunity, I think, for parliamentarians to come together and discuss some of the unique issues that affect men. And for many people who know my background, it's in international development, working largely with women's empowerment organisations and girls' education. So it turned a few heads when I said that I'd be presenting this. But as a constituency MP representing a constituency in the northeast of England, I think some of the issues that are pertinent to International Men's Day are really relevant to my constituents, including worrying trends around male suicide, particularly amongst young men, educational underachievement among boys and men, health disparities in life expectancy, as well as male victims of crime and abuse. And it's important to stress as well, this is not a day that sort of sets men's rights against women's rights. Rather, it's about the fact that gender inequality harms everybody, and it harms people differently. And I think it's important that members across the House have an opportunity to discuss that in the Chamber, preferably, and to talk about their constituencies and some of the good work that's being done. There's positive work being done in every constituency, I'm sure. I know there is in mine with organisations like Man's Health that brings men together in peer support groups, among others. But also to think about what we do to address some of these challenges, because there is no doubt that some of these issues are gendered, that being born male makes you more likely to find yourself in prison or taking your own life or suffering various health challenges. And so we've put together this application. As you can see, there's 22, including myself. Members of Parliament have put their names to this and indicated a willingness to participate in the debate. I've listed it in order of government opposition, so you can see there's an equal number of both, and I believe there's at least 5, if not 6 parties, Labour, Conservative, Liberal Democrat, Green and DUP are represented on here.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Obviously, yes, you're well subscribed in terms of an application. I note in your application you wanted the debate on Tuesday the 19th of November, which obviously is International Men's Day. We are not allocated time on a Tuesday. Our time is allocated normally in the Chamber or indeed in Westminster Hall on a Thursday. So if we offer you time in the Chamber next Thursday, would you be able to take it?
Yes, I believe so. I'd need to check with everyone on here, but
I don't suggest you check with them now, but no. Given the time frame, because we are only just getting time allocated now by the government on when we'll be allowed to schedule debates.
Yeah.
So that's the nearest time.
We're talking Thursday the 21st.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that would be a good day to do it. It's on the same.
Any questions from colleagues? Everyone happy? Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, keep it short and sweet.
The clerks will be in touch with you in terms of the exact timing and detail.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. We'll obviously, Sarah, you have dashed in. We'll allow you to get your breath back and take Ian Duncan Smith and presumably David Davis.
Right, so our bid here for Backbench Business Debate is really about foreign nationals or detained British nationals at risk of human rights violations abroad. We reckon there's now at least 100 UK nationals are being tortured or ill-treated abroad each year, and in 2023 the FCDA received 188 new allegations of torture and mistreatment from British nationals overseas. The two people that represent that extreme are obviously Jimmy Lai, try and badge in my lapel, and the other is Ryan Cornelius, held obviously by UAE. He's been in, we think, solitary confinement pretty much the whole time now for 15 years. And it's completely corrupt what's been going on in there, because, of course, his business, which I think was worth something in the order of $1 billion doing building, etc. work in the Gulf area, was basically, it's been engineered by people close to the ruling group in UAE, should I describe it. Basically, his business has been seized and he's been locked away, unable to get a proper hearing. Now, we persuaded David Cameron previously. Up until then, he's never been mentioned by government in that period whenever they deal with UAE. As you know, UAE were going to be putting investments in all sorts. He even wanted to buy the Telegraph at one stage, which I opposed completely. I can't put words into the chair's mouth, but I have to say that I think you were party to that. I think their record on human rights is pretty atrocious. But this is particular to a British national who's had an egregious abuse of human rights. And Jimmy Lai's case, I think, is well known to the committee. You know, they are moving now to put him into life imprisonment. His life won't be that long once he goes into life imprisonment. It's all been trumped-up charges. But these are just two of the peaks, as it were, of what is now a mountain of people being detained. And it's trying to get the Foreign Office to raise this. Well, David Cameron did raise it in the end, the first time I think it was raised. It was uncomfortable for him at the time to do it, but he said he was happy to do it. He's raised it, I think, a couple of times. But David Lammy went, the new Foreign Secretary, to the UAE, and we discovered didn't raise it at all. So I think this is important because we think that government, you know, the Foreign Office should raise these matters consistently and constantly at all levels. If the British passport means anything at all, the words of let and hinder seem to me to be important. And so these are British citizens and we need to make sure they're represented. And the debate has got 18 signatures on it, covering all parties. I think we all think it's a very important debate.
Have you concluded?
I have concluded on
David,
that.
anything to add?
Really, I'm just here to be Ian's lieutenant on this, but to say, under all governments of all colours, there's been an institutional disinclination to defend our citizens. I mean, because there's always, I mean, as an ex-Foreign Office Minister, there's always an argument before us. Oh, you'll upset this relationship, you'll upset that relationship, you know. And Parliament's role in holding government to account, and particularly holding sort of institutions of Whitehall to account, is very important in my view, which is why I think, and as Ian said, it's well over 100 people we're talking about here. You know, you've heard the big names, but well over 100 people, and this is just an indication of how weak our institutions are, so it's important that we make the point, really.
Given what you've said, obviously you've asked for a chamber debate. Is there a motion that you want to put to the chamber, or are you wanting just a general debate to highlight the issues?
Not a general debate. It would be nice to put a motion, which is that, and I have to refine that slightly, but the motion would be along the lines of that all government ministers, and as a matter of government policy, should raise all issues concerning British nationals who are detained abroad at risk of human rights abuses. And I think that would be a fair motion, and I'd much rather have the House decide on that.
Well, it's your application, not ours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want.
It
yeah.
Include a motion.
Yes, I would, very much.
If you so wish, with the permission of the committee.
Yeah.
Any questions from colleagues? Yes.
I'm not sure if this is too relevant, but it is to me. In a way, you're saying there's about 100 people. Well, those 100 people must have 100 families behind them, and I'm just wondering if the applicants have had any contact with the families since they've submitted this application, and what the views of the families were as to how a debate should be conducted. I'm not sure if you can answer that.
Some of the names of the people that are held in the Foreign Office, but we're going on the reports that even the Foreign Office has accepted, which are they're detained. We know a number of them, but certainly we would make every intention, if the committee was to grant this, to contact families and to try and get them to the House to hear the debate. At least they would think that their families haven't been forgotten. But certainly we would certainly do that.
From my perspective, there's a general issue here, but if I were going to speak about an individual, I would of course talk to his family beforehand anyway, automatically. Yeah.
Okay, I'm from the application, obviously it's an important issue, but there's no hard deadline coming up or anything like that, is there?
There's no sort of target deadline out publicly. It's just a reality that happens every day. So we'll take whatever you can give us, really.
Right. Well, you may want to consider, as I say, an amendment to the motion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can I just point out that 13, Leila Moran MP, I believe she's Liberal Democrat.
Yes, she is, yeah.
Yeah,
is she in the wrong column?
Just down as Labour. It's a small point,
okay.
but thank you.
I think that was just a typo.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for attending, and the clerks will be in touch with you about potential dates.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, and our final application from Sarah Owen on tackling Islamophobia. Sarah, you've got your breath back now.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I ran from a really inspiring meeting of women Ukrainian MPs, so I wanted to be with them as long as possible, so I'm grateful for that time. Thank you. This is the first time I've done this. That's unusual. We're applying for a debate on tackling Islamophobia. We have one usually once a year. This is Islamophobia Awareness Month at the moment, so we feel that this is probably too late for this month, but we'd be looking hopefully to coincide with UN International Day for Tackling Islamophobia, which is on the 15th of March next year. And the reason why we want this, unfortunately, many of us would have seen on our television screens and in the news the horrific attacks on mosques up and down the country. We saw the horrific riots taking place across the country. We saw direct targeting of mosques and Muslim communities, and those perceived to be British Muslims as well. This is not just impacting Muslims, it will be people who are perceived to be Muslim as well. And in the year ending March 2024, there were 140,000 hate crimes were recorded by police in England and Wales, and of those, 3,866 were anti-Muslim hate crimes. That was a 13% increase from last year's figures, so we know that this problem is increasing. And I would say to the committee, in terms of those hate crime figures, we will know that there will be Islamophobia within those that have not been properly recorded, because there is not a standardised definition of Islamophobia yet. So many forces would have perhaps incorrectly or had missed actually marking it down as an anti-Muslim or Islamophobic attack. Muslims continue to be disproportionately targeted still, accounting for nearly 2 in 10 all religious hate crimes, and therefore the most targeted religious group. We also know this has a really gendered impact for women who wear hijabs or face coverings in particular, because they are more easily identifiable as Muslims and practicing Muslims. And unfortunately, we have had to see in recent months, the government have had to step up their security operations to support mosques and to ensure that people can go to and from their place of worship safely. And in some places, that is continuing. And that this hasn't taken place in isolation. Islamophobia happens on the streets, and it is part of many Muslims, unfortunately, everyday life. But it is also heightened online, and what we have seen over the last few months has that has increased. So we're asking ideally for a 3-hour full debate, because this has cross-parliamentary support. We have had these debates in the past. They have been well attended. They've been insightful. They've called for meaningful action, and we have seen improvements in understanding, but also, I would say, in terms of the level of debate around Islamophobia. And I believe, given the last year that we've had, that we really do need to see that full 3-hour debate.
Okay, thank you. Questions, colleagues? Any questions?
Yes, so which are you proposing? You'd prefer a chamber debate or a Westminster?
A chamber debate, ideally, please.
And just following that up, we've got a lot of Labour colleagues there, but not so many Conservative.
Yes, I've spoken to my co-chair, who is a Conservative, Robbie Moore. He's not on that list, but he should be on that list, and he wants to be on that list. We are continuing to get other members' names.
He's actually on the application.
He's on the,
Yes,
yeah, he's
yes.
on it. Good, excellent. So I wanted to make sure we got the updated one. But members are still coming through thick and fast to add their names to the application. So I'm imagining that we will see many more from cross-party. I think many of our Conservative colleagues were a little preoccupied in the time that we were trying to get hold of names for this debate. But I know that there will be many that will support this across the House. There are Liberal Democrats on there. There are also independents as well. And it is an issue that affects us all, whether we have large Muslim constituencies or not, because this reflects the sort of society that we live in.
One thing that we could potentially offer is Tuesday the 26th of November in Westminster Hall, which is the first debate. It's 90 minutes, but it would get you in November because of the problems we've got in terms of allocating time, because as you probably know, this committee's only just been set up and the Leader of the House is only just generously giving us time for debates. So would you accept that if we were able to offer it?
I would say that that would be less than ideal, given the number of people that have indicated their support for this. 90 minutes would leave very little time for anybody other than the Minister and the Shadow Minister, I think.
Well, we understand that. It's not ideal. I mean, the other issue, obviously, is which the answering department would be from the government side. Because when we allocate Tuesdays, they've got to be the right answering department. And you have a luxury of choice of HCLG, taking the faith side, women and equalities as well, or even Cabinet Office, potentially.
All of them will be eminently qualified to answer this, but I do believe that it should fall into the faith category. That is what's happened previously in previous debates. It's been faith, and I feel ideally that that's where it should lie.
Any other questions from any colleagues? No? Okay, thank you for coming along.
Thank you.
And the clerks will be in touch with you shortly.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings the public business to an end, so I'll formally close the public business. Order, and we go into private session to consider